Bryan Fletcher calls out truth about Nathan Cleary amid ugly claims around Kangaroos star. What if the sharpest blade of criticism could dull not the champion's edge, but the doubter's gaze, revealing that true mastery lies not in solitary brilliance, but in the selfless rhythm of a team's quiet symphony? The SEN radio studios in Sydney's bustling heart glow softly under the November sun of 2025. Microphones poised like sentinels amid stacks of faded NRL programs and half-empty coffee mugs stained with the residue of endless debates. It is a Tuesday morning, the air still humming from the Kangaroos' triumphant Ashes sweep in England. A 3-0 whitewash that should have been pure elation, yet carries the undercurrent of unease like thunder rumbling far offshore. Bryan Fletcher, the gravel-voiced NRL immortal, leans into the mic, his South Sydney premiership ring catching the light as he gestures with the passion of a man who has bled for the game. Across the ether, in Brisbane's training grounds and Penrith's quiet suburbs, Nathan Cleary, four-time premiership architect, the halfback whose boot has bent the arc of seasons, sits with headphones on, the weight of whispers pressing like an unseen ruck. The ugly claims had festered since Headingley. Cleary, the quiet conductor, accused of timidity in the green and gold. No X factor, the trolls typed. Club star, rep ghost, the talkback callers snarled. Calls for Mitchell Moses to usurp him echoed from Manchester pubs to Melbourne lounges. Fletcher, ever the guardian of the game's soul, had watched enough. His voice, warm with the timbre of 1,000 post-match yarns, cuts through the static. Please like, share, and subscribe for more sport talk content. The turning point arrives not in a stadium's roar, but in the intimate crackle of a radio wave. People have been critical of Cleary, Fletcher says, pausing as if weighing the words against a lifetime of scars. But when you're in that side, you don't have to do what he does at club level. The line lands like a perfectly weighted kick, gentle yet game-changing. Listeners in cars freeze mid-commute, hands gripping steering wheels. A mother in the Blue Mountains, tuning in while folding her son's Maroons jersey, feels the sting of unfairness ease. Fletcher leans closer, eyes distant as if replaying Cleary's subtle spirals, the offloads that freed Munster's magic. Nathan's the dominant force at Penrith, sure. But in the Kangaroos, you've got Walsh's lightning, Grant's grit, Munster's sorcery. He doesn't need to be the lone wolf. He's the shepherd, guiding the pack. The studio falls hushed, co-hosts nodding in silent accord. Across the nation, a ripple, texts firing between mates. Fletch gets it. The emotional crest swells when Fletcher shares a private aside from his playing days. I remember a test in '05, Johnsy pulling me aside after a quiet game. Fletch, he said, it's not about your stats, it's about theirs. Cleary's living that. He's the half who makes halves shine. The words hang, a balm for the boy from the Cleary dynasty, whose father Ivan once whispered similar truths on dew-kissed fields. In living rooms from Bondi to Bathurst, the broadcast stirs something deeper. A veteran Rabbitohs fan, radio pressed to his ear, wipes his eyes, not for the win, but for the vindication of a kid carrying a legacy heavier than gold. Fletcher's call isn't defense, it's declaration, a torch passed from one generation's guardian to the next. The aftermath ignites like dry tinder under a match. By midday, Fletch for Cleary trends on X, clips of the interview sliced and shared like precious footage from a forgotten final. Fans flood timelines. A Penrith diehard posts a photo of Cleary's premiership medals beside a transistor radio, captioned Truth Serum. Blues supporters still smarting from Origin heartbreaks chime in. Fair dinkum, Fletch, Nate's our metronome. 9 News runs the soundbite on loop, analysts nodding gravely as if unearthing a lost relic. Fox Sports panels erupt in agreement, one ex-player admitting, we forget the quiet generals build empires. The wave crashes into pubs where old blokes raise middies to absent toasts. To Cleary, the invisible ink of victory. Even in England, where the Ashes loss still stings, a Leeds Rhinos fan tweets, Aussie honesty, respect the half who hides to win. The moment embeds into the code's storied veins. Rugby league has always revered its truth-tellers. Fletcher's own 2000 Rabbitohs revival, born of brutal candor amid boardroom ashes. Cleary's scrutiny echoes Lockyer's early test doubts, or Joey John's shadow under brotherly sun. Yet this defense deepens the heritage. From the 1908 Kangaroos' defiant tour to the modern rep arena, where club kings must kneel to national nuance. Fan reactions bloom like wildflowers after rain. In Rockhampton, where Munster's flair first flowered, a young halfback tapes Fletcher's words to his bedroom wall. Across the Tasman, Kiwi expats in Sydney host Barbie debates, nodding over snags. Cleary's not the spark, he's the steady hand on the flint. The claims, once venom, now vaporize, leaving space for stories of the shepherd's subtle art. This is sport's unspoken poetry, the critique that carves deeper character, the voice that validates the veiled. Fletcher's call reminds us that ugly whispers often mask our own unmet hungers, for heroes who dazzle alone, forgetting the chorus that elevates the song. In Cleary's Quiet series, we glimpse not flaw but finesse, the halfback who sees the spotlight to amplify the stars. It speaks to sportsmanship's sacred core, selflessness as the supreme strategy. Cleary, heir to a dynasty forged in Ivan's unyielding gaze, embodies the value of adaptation, not dominating the dance, but directing its flow. In a game of thunderous collisions, his restraint is revolution, proving legacy is less about loud legacies than loyal lifts for those beside you. We reflect on humanity's tender underbelly here, the ache of being measured by moments, not the mosaic of a career. Fletcher's words honor not just a player, but a principle. Criticism unchecked erodes the soul, but truth spoken softens the stone. Values like humility and harmony, often eclipsed by highlight hunger, emerge in this ether, urging us to celebrate the conductors over the soloists. Character, in the cleat-marked clay of rugby league, is the courage to dim one's light for the team's dawn. Cleary's quiet ashes, a whitewash won on completion rates and composure, mirrors life's larger ledger. The parent who steps back so the child strides forward, the mentor who whispers when the world demands roars. Fletcher's intervention is a mirror, reflecting our shared frailty in the face of fame's fierce forge. Legacy unfolds not in solitary statues, but in the echoes of endorsement. This radio ripple will shape Cleary's chapters, the next origin, the 2026 World Cup, where his shepherd's touch turns packs into predators. For Fletcher, it's another verse in his Ballad of Belief, a reminder that the game's guardians guard not gates, but graces. In the hush of a post-broadcast cafe, Cleary sips flat white, phone buzzing with mates' memes. He texts his father, "Fletch said it better than I could." Ivan replies, "He saw what you did, now do more." Later on a podcast with old Broncos hands, Fletcher expands, voice softening. Nate's not timid, he's tactical. In Penrith, he's the king. In green gold, he's the kingmaker. That's growth, lads. That's grace. Cleary, reached by sin the next dawn, shares his heart. Hearing Fletch felt like a hug from the game itself. I've chased dominance, but he's right. Sometimes the win is in the wait, in the past that sets another free. It's humbling. It's home.